Alright, we are truly live, Gaza, for episode, I think it's gonna be 32 of the Pro Go Baduk Weiqi podcast. I'm Shao Dai, and again we have
Gaza.
Gaza. Gaza, we've truly gone live, but I usually don't do this. I usually don't start this podcast with a joke, but today I like to start this podcast with a joke. Are you ready for the joke?
Sure.
Ke Jie.
Let's do it. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was a joke. Thank you.
Oh, that's terrible.
But I think most people, a lot of people will agree with me. But
Man, I think you're taking this too far, mate.
too far. All right. Let's see. Gaza. So there's a lot's happened this week. Shall we start by covering the massive one, the massive international, the LG Cup?
LG Cup quarterfinals and semifinals.
Yeah, quarterfinals and LG, and like I'm not a big fan of how LG Cup breaks up the whole competition into tiny pieces, and they do the quarterfinals and semifinals now, and then they will do the final in February next year.
Well, the Chunlan Cup takes even longer.
Yeah.
And the M Lily Cup takes even longer than that, and then you've got the In Cup.
Yeah, wow, that's a class of its own. So now, so what's happened in the quarterfinal, Gaza? Let me see if I can find the.
Well, the quarterfinal had 4 Chinese players,
Yep.
3 Koreans, and 1 Japanese player.
Yeah. So we was I believe Shibano versus Dingxin, Kim Myounghoon versus Ding Hao, and we got Shin Jinseo versus Yuting, and Ke Jie versus Kang Dongyun. So Gaza, I think I kind of have a little bit of trouble finding the key foods. Maybe if we can look at, Gaza, is there any particular key foods that you want to look at while we scroll through the pictures?
Well, I mean, so the first the quarterfinals were played over 2 days.
Yep.
The first ones were played on Sunday, I believe, and I think that was Shin Jinseo and Meijin
Yep.
played on Sunday, and also Ke Jie played Kang Dongyun
Yep.
on Sunday. So they were the first games, and those 2 games were played at the same time, of course.
Yep.
And like all of the international competitions at the moment, it's all being played on computers because the host country, Korea, none of the non-Korean players are able to, are traveling to Korea, especially not the Chinese players. They can't travel anywhere.
Yep.
So everyone's playing remotely, and so they're playing on computers. So for instance, Kang Dongyun and Shin Jinseo were playing in the same room. Ke Jie and Yuting were also playing in the same room, I recall.
Yeah.
Now, I followed the Meijin Shin Jinseo game.
Yeah. Gaza, we're looking at the Ke Jie versus Kang Dongyun.
Well, let's look at that one first.
Yeah.
So in this one, Ke Jie, I believe, was black.
Yeah.
Kang Dongyun, of course, was white, and I think.
No, I think Ke Jie is white. Kang Dongyun's black.
Oh no! Yep. Tell a lie. I got that one wrong. Ke Jie was indeed white in this game.
Yeah.
And I believe prior to this, their head-to-head record was 5-2 in favor of Ke Jie.
Right.
I think that's what it was.
Mm.
And interestingly enough, though, Kang Dongyun has won the LG Cup before.
Mm.
In fact, before he won the YK Construction Cup earlier this year, his LG Cup victory was his most recent title, domestic or international.
Right.
I think he won it, 6 years ago? Let me just quickly check that.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since he's won a title because I think he's 33 at the moment. I believe he's won it before
Yeah,
he's
he's all
30.
yeah. So Kang Dongyun, he won the LG Cup in 2016, so it was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, he
Now,
beat Park Young-hoon.
yeah,
But yeah, I believe he is 33, and I'm pretty sure that makes him the oldest player in the quarterfinals.
right, yeah,
Um, on the other hand, Ke Jie, despite his 8 world titles, he's never actually won the LG Cup. He got close last year, but lost to Shin Jinseo.
yeah,
So obviously he's looking to get that elusive LG Cup victory.
yeah,
Um, and this game was an interesting game, and well, I mean, people already know the result, but Kang Dong-yoon actually ended up winning.
yeah. No, it's quite crazy. I just want to point out a couple of highlights in the game. So now apparently, Ke spent a lot of time thinking about this local variation, and I think Ke got a pretty good lead. Now at this point, it's Black's move, and Black is Kang Dong Yun, of course. And at this point, I was thinking, why doesn't Black just connect here? Because obviously White can't Atari here, can't throw in, doesn't do anything, and so this White group will be captured. So that's quite big, and apparently, but in the game, Black just played here. Um, maybe Kang Dong Yun just thought that he could threaten this group, but then a really strong player told me that if Kang Dong Yun had played here, White can still do something like by tarrying here, which looks kind of crazy. Like I think the idea is if Black comes down, then White can now come out. So if Black takes, then White can Atari from here. Um, so there's still trouble. So it's a bit there's still kind of like a fight going on. But whatever it is, Black ended up playing here. So what ended up happening was Ke Jie just killed all of this. So if you look at it, Ke Jie killed everything, every Black stone over here. But Black started attacking this group, and so basically, and what's even worse was that Black just can't cleanly kill these stones here at all. So Black, you would have to say, is very behind. So but then something really strange happened in here. Even though AI doesn't say that Ke Jie is doing too badly, on Weibo, Tang Weixin said that he couldn't really understand why Ke Jie had played here. Now, the issue is, if you look at this group over here, this white group is technically not alive. You see that Kang Dongyun really very quickly activated all the RG here, but if White had played here, White would be alive. There's one eye here, one eye on the top. But Ke Jie didn't do that, and I think Ke Jie's got some reasons not to do that, because you see in the game, so Kang Dongyun immediately tries to initiate a sequence that can kill this white group. So White now only has one eye, but when Ke Jie plays here, of course Ke Jie can actually just throw in and start a ko. So this group actually, even though Ke Jie played away for one move, this group is actually not dead. It's just ko. But there were some pros who were very critical of this move. But according to AI, Ke Jie is not behind at this point. So, but it kind of indicates that maybe Ke Jie wants to, initiate more fighting. He wants to play more actively. But I think that's kind of the beginning of the end for Ke Jie actually. And even at this point, Ke Jie is not assessed to be behind. In fact, he's quite a bit ahead. I believe by AI assessment, he's like over 90%. But Kang Dongyun decided, hey, damn it, I'm losing. I'm gonna just start some crazy fights if I can. And unfortunately, Ke Jie just let him do it. So apparently, Ke Jie should have put just jump. That's the right direction. But instead, Ke Jie just made here, which made himself even more heavy. So you see now this whole white group gets surrounded. Now if this whole white group gets killed, then Kang Dongyun, it basically would have reversed the game. I guess this is still very far. This white group is still very far from being killed at this stage, but we'll see what happens as it progresses. And if you recall, Zin, our best friend, has appeared on the episode on this podcast last episode. he mentioned that he basically came up with the nickname Ke Jie for Ke Jie. Basically, he said Ke Jie just made a really simple mistake here. Actually, Ke Jie could have just lived at this point just by playing here. Actually, maybe not here. At this point, White could actually have just lived like this. I've seen some commentaries where it says White can kind of. So the idea is if White plays here and Black tries to kill, has to destroy this eye over here. Because if Black plays elsewhere, then obviously then there's one eye here and one eye here that's alive. So Black kind of have to try and do something to destroy the eye. So if White had played here, then I don't think this.
Actually, I think it was one move earlier. Well, I think White can live there, but I think White could have done it one move earlier. Yeah, there.
Yeah, I think White. I think I've seen some commentaries where it says White, like there's lots of things like points at which White could live, but I think the idea is the same. But I think because Ke Jie was leading so much, I think simply living here was only brings the win rate back to 50%. So maybe Ke Jie didn't feel very confident about it. Yeah, so Ke Jie could have lived, and I mean this doesn't really work. Sorry, I think I messed up the sequence there. I think it's more like after this, so with this white stone, then Ke Jie could have lived. Whatever it was, I think I remember the sequence before. But I think the idea was that White should have kind of lived locally over here. I kind of just forgot the sequence now. Brain's too tired to read it out. But anyway, so basically Ke Jie didn't quite manage to live, and when I was watching the live stream, Piao Wenyao had some really good things about this that he said about Kang Dongyun's move here. Apparently, this basically connects all his groups, and basically after this, White has no chance to live. I think White kind of have to make use of some of the RG here to live. Somehow make use of this, which was gone after Black had played here. So there's no longer any RG here that White can exploit. So what ends up happening was basically Ke Jie's whole dragon was just killed. Which was, if you look at it, very, 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 very unfortunate for Ke Jie. But it does seem to be a sign of things to come for Ke Jie potentially. But Ke Jie's dragon ended up getting killed, so he lost, and so he didn't make it any further than the quarterfinals of the LG Cup.
Yeah, he's out. Yeah, and I mean, I think you're a bit harsh slagging him off for losing this game. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a bit below his level to miss that move to make his group live. But I mean, give him a break. He's still won 8 titles.
Yeah.
And he has won a tournament this year. He won the Southwest King.
Yes. So he hasn't. I mean, he's done okay, but if you look at his recent record, you really wouldn't associate him with one of the top 2 players in the world. Maybe he will no longer be.
No, he certainly hasn't played as one of the top players in the world. And that's going to be a bit worrying if he's still playing like this. When his time comes in the Nongshim Cup.
Yeah.
Or the Asian Games even.
Yeah. Or the Lanka Cup and Chunlan Cup upcoming. So I'm kind of expecting Ke Jie to be completely destroyed by Shin Jinseo in the upcoming Chunlan Cup. So we'll see.
We shall see.
We shall see. Now, Gaza, this is the key food for Yuting versus Shin Jinseo.
Yeah, there wasn't really much Well, one thing that I did notice, move 57.
57.
This reminded me of a move that Ke Jie made against Shin Jinseo last year in the Jar League.
Right, right, right. Where he did the
In
deep submarine. Yeah,
Yeah. Shin Jinseo, according to AI, was leading quite comfortably, and Ke Jie made this, made a submarine type move like this,
yeah,
and Shin Jinseo, didn't know how to respond to it, and actually Ke Jie managed to reverse that game, quite impressive.
yeah,
Um, and that ended up that's so far been the most recent time that Ke Jie has beaten
yeah,
Shin Jinseo.
yeah.
But yeah, Ting ended up making a move like this as well, and I think Shin Jinseo again got a little bit anxious about it and didn't make the most optimal response.
Right.
But other than that, yeah, still, it didn't actually lose him the game, and he was never really behind in the whole game.
Yeah. I think this game
Um,
is one of those games where it shows how much control Shin Jinseo has over the game. Um, I just when I was looking at the Kifu up to this point, because Shin Jinseo is white, up to this point, I just remember thinking how annoying is this Shin Jinseo player, because he just plays some stones over here and bang, he destroy a bunch of white black's territory deep inside black's Moyo, and then that kind of leaves me Yuting with no choice but to kind of play more aggressively over on this side, and
oh no,
yeah,
and then yeah, this move here,
yeah,
this cut,
yeah,
and then all of a sudden, he has all this RG, and
yeah,
like the that group. So that group on the left doesn't die,
no,
but he create like Shinjin So creates so much RG. He
yeah,
keeps playing inside there,
yeah,
and despite the fact that all of the stones that he plays inside
yeah,
on the left
yeah,
die,
yeah,
they all had a purpose.
yeah,
And
like
in the end, like if you keep on playing it out,
yeah,
so Shinjin So, yeah, so he's playing a few stones on the left.
yeah,
They end up getting captured, but it allows Shinjin So to play stones
some
on the
center,
outside,
yeah,
and that prevents
yeah,
Miuting's snake in the middle
yeah,
from actually living.
yeah, which is quite crazy, and I think he chosen to activate the RG exactly at the right time, like because imagine if Yuting didn't play it like this, and at some point Shin Jinseo could have just, instead of activating the RG over here, Shin Jinseo could have played like down here, and then
Mm.
later on, because he didn't activate the RG over here, like for example did Atari here, he could have gotten a bigger Yosei like this, so that's quite painful, like so that's so I think so Sinjin's wanted to kind of reserve the right to play the bigger Yosei over here. So he only chose to activate this RG when he thought, okay, I want a wall over here to attack this black group. So that was really the way he played over here, just so beautiful. Yeah. So when I saw this stick over here, like I think at this point, Miyuting's already down to like 10-20% or something, and apparently one of the AI recommended move was just playing here. And I just remember watching some video saying why this is actually a good exchange now, and it kind of only becomes apparent like 30 moves later that this may kind of help in some kind of situation. So and of course Miyuting didn't play this move, and even if he did play this move, he would be down to like 20% anyway. So but whatever it was, Shin Jinseo just managed to put so much pressure on this group and threatened to cut off the
Yeah,
tail, and
yeah,
Muting had no choice but to just capture
yeah.
this
He had to.
and give up the
Yeah, so he
tail.
gave up those 5 stones, and that's
Yeah,
still way too much.
yeah, and I think that was just the end for Muting. Basically, nothing really left for him to really fight for. I think it was just not going to be that close. So
Yeah, and the crazy thing, something that I just want to point out.
yeah,
So Meeting and Shinjin, so they've actually played each other 7 times this year.
right,
Um, so they played at the beginning of the year in the Jar League playoffs.
yep,
Then they played twice in the Nongshim Cup, surprisingly enough. The first one ended up having a technical issue, being a draw.
Yeah.
And then the second, so they had to redo the game, but it counts as 2 games.
Right. Yeah.
And then they played in this year's Jar League.
Yeah.
Then they played in the Kuksu Mountains International.
Yeah.
And then the Samsung Cup, and now they've played in the LG Cup.
Yeah.
And in those 7 games, like I said, there was 1 draw.
Yeah.
Yuting won the regular season Jar League game, and Shin Jinseo has now won the other 5.
Yeah.
So beating the same guy 5 times in 1 year is pretty impressive, even if they're from the same country. But these two are in different countries, so that's just crazy.
Meijin doesn't seem to have the best luck in the world, does he?
No, and people say that he has one of the, he seems to be one of the most dangerous players for Shin Jinseo at the moment, because Miuting's win in the Jar League was the first time, stopped Shin Jinseo's streak of 24 consecutive wins against Chinese players.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall now they've played 15 times. They've had 1 draw, and Shin Jinseo has won 10. Miuting has won 4.
Now it must feel real tough for Meijin, because I do recall looking over the live stream, and basically they were saying that Meijin, have already lost, but he really doesn't feel that giving up is gonna be good for his mental health or whatever. So he kind of kept playing for a little bit, just kind of help him with his level of stress or discomfort or whatever it is. But Meijin didn't really want to resign, but it was but even though he kind of knew that he had to, it must be tough being Meijin in that situation.
Well, it must be tough, like having to come up against Shin Jinseo, like seemingly every tournament. Like the last 3 international tournaments, Miuting has come up against Shin Jinseo.
Yeah.
And he's lost all 3.
Tough luck. Now, Gaza, let's look at let's move on to some other games. I think this is one that I maybe want to quickly look at.
So on Monday, they had the other 2 quarterfinal games. So I'm not sure which one you want to cover, or if you want to cover both. But Ding Hao played Kim Myounghoon.
Yeah.
So Kim Myounghoon, he just a couple of weeks ago reached his first ever semi-final in the Samsung Cup.
Yeah.
So he's now looking to reach his second semi-final. Ding Hao is looking to reach his first.
Yeah. So maybe we'll look at the Kim Myounghoon and Ding Hao game quickly. So this is Kim Myounghoon as black, Ding Hao is white, and I do believe it ended up being such that it was a very tough game for Ding Hao. Ended up, but Ding Hao somehow came through, and I think this is just basically Ding Hao's first ever semi-final appearance, which is a little bit strange because Ding Hao was ranked as high as 2nd in China, but he's never made a semi-final until he managed to beat Kim Myounghoon this year.
Well, actually, the if I've gone over his performance in World Majors, and it's actually quite good.
Right.
The trouble though, is that he hasn't played in that many.
Yeah, right.
In the World Majors that he has played in, he's done fairly well.
Yeah.
But the problem is, this is actually only his 5th World Major.
Right.
Okay, for comparison, Shin Jinseo, who is a couple of months older than Ding Hao, he has played in, let me just quickly check, he's played in 25.
Yep.
Ding Hao has played in 5.
Yeah.
So that goes to show,
Well, I mean, I think it shows a couple of things. One is that how tough it is to qualify from China, and how relatively easier it must be for Shin Jinseo to qualify. And also, I think they do tend to reserve one spot for the number ones in Korea, so they kind of just get straight through. So Shin Jinseo does have a lot more bites at the cherry than Ding Hao.
Well, I mean, also, the thing is, most of the World Cups, I mean, a lot of the world majors since Ding Hao has come onto the scene have been Korean hosted because
Mm.
China are hosting less with
Right.
the
Yeah.
pandemic and stuff. So,
Yeah.
there's less spots for um for Chinese players, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he finally, I think, yeah, he's this was actually his first quarterfinal as well,
Mm.
but it was his beating Kim Myounghoon means this is his first semifinal.
Yeah. That's right. Now, when I was watching the stream, I watched mostly Zhou Ruiyang's stream. When Ding Hao made this move here to make himself into this inefficient shape, Joe was not happy. He was like, "How can Ding Hao make this move?" Because, and also, I do believe by AI's assessment, it was quite poorly received. You just look at it, just the shape is just bad, and it didn't really do that much. But at this critical point in the game, Ding Hao played beautifully, I would have to say. So at this point, Ding Hao, again, is white. So you can see that this Ding Hao's group in the middle is not alive. So of course, Ding Hao can always connect back. So that's one option. But before he connects, before he does connecting back, he kind of just asks Black some very hard questions. Say, well, do you want me to capture these stones so I don't even have to connect back like that? So Black goes, nope. So then, okay, well, I'm going to put more pressure on you. Uh, so Black connects back. So Ding Hao just gets all of these Sente moves. And then instead of connecting back, now that he's done all of this stuff, he said, well, now that I've got a couple of stones here, I'm a little bit stronger here. And I kind of have a half an eye over here already. I'm not going to connect back. I'm going to save this one stone as well. So, and then I said, I'm going to live in the middle. So that's really, like, Ding Hao just plays so beautifully here, even though he's supposed to be a little bit behind. And after playing a few more moves, I think uh, uh, what's Kim Myung-hyun made a fairly fatal mistake, which is he decides to try and capture these two stones. But basically, Ding Hao can actually give up these two stones because there's actually a much bigger move here, which is just cut off this whole thing. So Ding Hao managed to get a lot of points. He kind of just came back, starting from this move. Before that, it was very very behind. So I guess it's really hard for a human to find the right move. But apparently AI was suggesting playing somewhere around here to attack this white group. But for whatever reason, Kim Myung-hyun chose to capture these two stones, um, which kind of gave Ding Hao. So now Ding Hao was trying to play really safe. He said, I want to guarantee one eye over here. And as long as Ding Hao kind of lives, then basically he's won because he's gained so many points over here. Um, which also means that, Kim Myung-hyun probably would have done quite well by just kind of getting this Sente move in, but he just didn't quite see it. I guess that's kind of sometimes at the top level, these kind of details is what kind of make or break a game. But whatever it was, I think by this point the commentary says that White's gonna live no matter what. So basically, it's gonna be a good game for Ding Hao from this point. There's actually no way that Black can disconnect White or kill it. So basically, it's game over for Kim at this point. So congrats to Ding. He played
Well,
really
actually,
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
Kim Myung-hyun. So Ding Hao ended up winning by 2.5 points, I
Right.
think.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Or yeah,
So
yeah.
not. I mean, the margin wasn't huge, I guess. So yeah. So I think
But yeah, so Ding Hao makes his first semi-final in his
yeah.
fifth.
Yeah.
Well, actually, technically, this is only his fourth world major because the his fifth one is the Chunlan Cup,
Yeah. Which is
which
still
hasn't
ongoing.
reached the semi-final stage yet.
Yeah.
So
Now, given that we might just quickly go over the other game, which is Shibano versus Yang Dingxin. So Shibano is black, Yang Dingxin is white. And I do remember watching the commentary, and up to this point, basically the commentator was saying Shibano has played really well. And Zhou Ruiyang, in his live stream, had basically had this to say about Shibano. He said Shibano definitely is capable, but when he plays badly, he also can play really badly. So that's how Zhou Ruiyang would describe Shibano. But up to this point, Shibano's played beautifully. He kind of just took the corner. So then they keep fighting. Now, one of the things that I found very interesting about when I watched the pros commentary about this is that Shibano was doing quite well, but the moment it got into some intense fighting, which is kind of what's happened over here, he kind of just fell apart a little bit. It feels like that in general, the Chinese players are just stronger at fighting than the Japanese players for whatever reason. But that's kind of just a general feeling. But basically, Yang Dingxin, they keep fighting, and Shibano, at this point, Shibano now make this move. Now, this is a very interesting move because if you look at what's happened here, I think Black cannot escape anymore if White connects. So this kind of, and feels like Black doesn't really want to spend a move just to connect these groups back for whatever reason. So this move, the only purpose of this move is kind of to trying to capture this group. Otherwise, the commentator was saying that Shibano probably should just connect back on top. And apparently, according to AI and according to some of the pros, Shibano wouldn't be actually that much behind if Shibano had just done this, but instead Shibano chose the harder path, which is to try and kill this group. And I think this Black group might be dead. Actually, no, I don't think it's dead. No, it's not dead. So I think when White connected, I think this Black group is actually just pure dead. There's nothing Black can do. And so now Black really has to, because Black's invested so many moves here, it really has to kill this White group now. But then Yang Dingxin decides to play a little bit of a tickle. Said, well, why don't you come and try and kill me? And guess what happened, Gaza?
What happened?
Shibano failed to kill this group. In fact, Yang Dingxin played pretty well here. So up to this point, this group is already alive because there's kind of like a connect back over here. I think this connect back works. Yeah. So basically, Yang Dingxin actually managed to stay alive deep within Black's territory. If you recall, Black made one move here and then another move, and still didn't manage to kill it. So you have to say that Shibano is really behind on points. So Shibano decides to do some magic later on, as you shall see. Actually, Shibano actually managed to capture this group. So actually, this group was not dead at all. Sorry, I must have misunderstood that. Because this is a Sente move here. So Black can actually capture this group, which is good. So Shibano decides to play 3 deep inside Yang's territory, but I think at this point Black's already quite behind, if I recall. Yeah. So anyway, Shibano tries to do some magic, but it didn't really work out. So Shibano ended up resigning at this point. But Shibano some parts he played well, but when Yang Dingxin trying to live with this group, it's really painful for Shibano.
Now I want to make a couple of comments.
Yeah.
Shibano losing means that we yet again have another tournament with no Japanese champion.
Right.
And secondly, I believe just before these quarterfinals started, there was sort of a promotion from the Chinese contingent.
Yes.
Sort of advertising these quarterfinals.
Now, I'll see if I can quickly find that particular poster. Now, for a little bit of context, if I was able to find this. Now, for a little bit of context, almost immediately, like in the, just maybe, is it even a week before the LG Cup? I think it was maybe a week before the LG Cup, something like that. The Samsung Cup was happening. And we all kind of remember what happened in the Samsung Cup. There was no Chinese player in the semi-final. Um, so yeah, um, and
That's right.
yeah,
There was only one Chinese player in the quarterfinal, and that was Yang Dingjun.
yeah, yeah, that's right. And so what? So to advertise for the for the LG Cup, this is one of the poster posted by Ike, which is one of the major Weiqi portals in China. Now this literally says the battle to avenge a shameful past or something, you know. Um, so the Chinese considered it quite a shame for them not to have any player in the semi-final. So this is really the battle to kind of erase that shame um, in their recent past. So uh, and I I think it's actually quite interesting how the story turned out. But we'll look at the semi-final
Well,
later.
yeah, and it was interesting because on the first day of the quarterfinals, both the Chinese players lost.
Yeah,
So it wasn't a good start, but they
yeah,
redeemed themselves in this on
yeah,
the second day when both the Chinese
yeah.
players won.
Yeah, and due to the way that they do the draws, because there's two Korean and two Chinese who made it into the semifinal, they will draw it in such a way that the Chinese players will have to play the Korean players because they kind of try to avoid having the players from the same country meet each other. So what's happened is that Ding Hao ended up drawing Kang Dongyun and Shin Jinseo ended up drawing Yang Dingxin. So now,
Yes, the one the one thing there is because the semifinals are played on the quarterfinals were played on Sunday and Monday, the semifinals were played on Tuesday and Wednesday.
yeah,
So because the two Chinese players that won played
mm,
on Monday, one of them is going to have to play on Tuesday as well, so they get no day of rest.
mm,
While their opponent will be a Korean player who played on Sunday, so they'll get one day of rest.
yeah, I see,
And
yeah,
then that ended up being Ding Hao and Kang Dongyun. So
yeah,
Ding Hao had to play Monday and then Tuesday, while Kang Dongyun
mm,
played Sunday and Tuesday.
yeah. Now we all know Kang kind of came through this by defeating Ke Jie, and then this is Ding Hao's first semi-final. So I would imagine some of the Chinese fans were a little bit nervous about how Ding Hao would perform in this one. But I have to say, Ding Hao played quite beautifully in this game.
I think yes, he's inexperienced. He didn't really show any inexperience, and
Yeah,
Kang Dongyun just wasn't able to keep up with him. It seemed.
yeah. Now I do remember watching some of the pro commentary, and basically by this move, which is made by Kang Dongyun as white, the Chinese commentator, which in this case was Peng Chuan, he was already not a huge fan of Kang Dongyun's position, but his theory was that, well, you kind of have created at least a couple of groups here, and they may not gel together that well. They may not have that synergy that to work together, and this is kind of where it starts to fall apart for Kang Dongyun, even though maybe by AI's assessment it wasn't that bad, but by by humans assessment, white's at least in two groups, and that's not an easy way to play this. And also, Ding Hao didn't play all that aggressively. I think he kind of his moves are still very measured. He was just like, okay, I'm going to take some points. You can tell me how you want to fix your shape over here. So it kind of ended up being such that I think all of these white stones here got captured. Um, I think at some point it shows that they ended up capturing, so Ding actually ended up capturing all of this stuff, and this black stone here is a little bit hurt, but apparently it wasn't that big a deal because there's another white group running outside anyway. Um and then I think over in this place, Ding Hao just played really beautiful Weiqi. He just kind of not I Ding Hao just took some more points, and I think uh Kang Dong Yun just doesn't have enough, and then at this point I remember Joe Yang in his live stream started saying, well, he's noticed one thing that's a positive about Kang Dong Yun is that if he senses that he's losing, he often doesn't strive very hard to get something out of it. And like literally, the moment he's finished saying that sentence, Kang Dongyun's already resigned at this point. And he was very happy because Jo Young, when he streams, he often says things like, "Oh, this is going on for way too long. It's time for me to have a rest and whatever." And so he's really happy that he gets to finish his stream a bit early because Kang Dongyun decided not to struggle, unlike some other players, I guess. And I think we've seen this from Kang Dongyun. I think he does make a habit of maybe sometimes even resigning when he's maybe still have about 10%. According to AI, so maybe there's still some room to struggle, but yeah, but he didn't really try. He just thought this is hopeless. I don't have enough points, so he kind of just resigned.
I don't think that there was much point playing on from here, to be honest. I think
Right.
I think this was a fine place to resign, but
Yeah.
But it was a short game. It was a short game, and it was a good strong game by Ding Hao, who now obviously he makes his first final.
Yep.
And a real opportunity to get to join the group of Chinese players that are world champions.
Yeah. And of course, Ding Hao had a horrid Asian Games qualification campaign, and he hasn't really played that well since then. And now suddenly he's making the final of an international major, so good on him. Now, of course, as soon as that game finished, all eyes turned to Shin Jinseo versus Yang Dingxin, the big one.
But this game was happening. Okay, so this game was happening the next day.
Next day, yep.
Right.
Yeah. And in this game, Shin Jinseo is black. Yang Dingxin is white. I think this game is notable in that it was to me, unusually high quality game.
Well, I would say this was the game of the week.
Yeah,
to me.
By both players. It was very, very tense, right up till the very end, and I think they were playing so well that I think it's quite rare for them to even lose around 10 points according to AI. So it was a very cagey, very competitive, but also very high quality game. It was basically down to like Yosei. Now, I want to show you a couple of interesting moments from the game, and one of them I thought was just kind of way exaggerated. Now, at this point, Shin Jinseo, this black group needs to live now. So now apparently this move also lives, and this move gives the most points. But it's kind of maybe it's got some annoying stuff going on here. But apparently this move is the one that will gain the most points. But Shin Jinseo didn't live like that. Shin Jinseo lived like this, losing a few points. But the idea is that I think if Shin Jinseo didn't do this, what could have happened is that say imagine if Shin Jinseo had played somewhere around here, then because of all of this stuff happening here, what that means is that this white move becomes Sente. If this move is Sente, then white has an extra eye over here. So I think the meaning of this move was that this is no longer Sente. But Yang Dingxin didn't want that for Shin Jinseo, so he kept playing. So the next move he made was here, which surprised the streamer Joe Young a little bit. He's like, "Oh, why doesn't White just jump out here?" And one of the commentaries by Hu Yaoyu, he went as far as to say that this move is so brilliant that AI didn't even realize how brilliant it was, and the AI assessment from this point on, after Yang Dingxin had made his moves, were all completely wrong. I know I want to reserve my doubts about that. But that's kind of what one of the top pros have said, and I think the idea of this move was that it's kind of the same idea as before. Now Shin Jinseo can live, so for example, Shin Jinseo can live like this, but then what happens is white can now come in here, and black only has 2 points. So living like this, it kind of only gives white 2 points, but it does make this move by white non-sente, okay? But it's got fewer points. But Shin Jinseo played here instead because I think maybe he just wanted to have more points. Because what's happened is that later on, he's got at least 2 points and the possibility to take and maybe possibility of making extra point here. So this is slightly more points. But I guess the problem with this move is that later on this becomes sente if this side is blocked off because, for example, can play here, and even if you take, and if you want to destroy this eye, you kind of have to play here and play here, and then what's happened is that you can just even if you kind of play away now, you can just capture. So and also if black takes this, even if black gets this move, okay, something like that, white can actually just come in here and black cannot capture. Black can what was I saying? Yeah, so I think black, if plays here, white can play here. No, yeah, that doesn't work. So white will have to, black will have to take. So so I think if it ends up being like this, then black obviously can't Atari, but black can still Atari over here. Completely forgotten the sequence, but anyway, let's see what's happened here. I think at this point it does make this sente. Yeah. Why is my brain not working today? But I think what's happened was that this should now be sente. Because if black doesn't play here, imagine if black plays by destroying this eye. This now is sente because if black tries to make an eye over here, white can Atari, and when black takes, white can actually play here, capturing this stone. So that's why this move becomes sente. So what that actually means is if this move is sente, what this means is that white's got an extra eye over here. Now Hu Yaoyu was very clear that this eye makes this white group so much stronger. But I kind of have my doubts about that because can't white just connect back at any time? So, but anyway, I guess at least what this means is that even black playing here is no longer sente because of that extra eye over here. So yeah, it does strengthen this white group over here. Which I thought was a very interesting take by a pro because his take on this game was completely different to other pros. He basically said that this move was the strongest move, was the thing that won Yang Dingxin the game. But actually, what's happened according to Zhou Ruiyang was that when Zhou Ruiyang saw this move, he was like, is this move even big? Maybe it does look maybe not as big as maybe just connecting under, for example, because it's only destroyed this 1 point, and when black blocks, white still has to connect back. So I also have some questions about whether this move was big, but actually this might turn out to be kind of the winning move because Yang Dingxin's seen something here that Shin Jinseo maybe didn't see. But anyway, Shin Jinseo maybe sensing that he was slightly behind, decides to play things like this, which tightens white's liberties. I guess the intention is very clear because, like for example, if white connects under, then black will throw in. But this is also very dangerous for black because when Yang Dingxin takes this, and if they fight the code, Yang Dingxin can actually take this if he wins the code. So I think Shin Jinseo only played moves like this when he kind of knows that he's a little bit, he only plays things like this when when he can sense he's a little bit behind, so he tries to threaten white a little bit. But Yang Dingxin just says, okay, I'm going to connect back. And this means that Yang Dingxin is unusually patient. It also cannot Atari from this point. It's kind of same thing. You kind of throw in, and yeah, it's going to be trouble for white. So Yang Dingxin was very patient, which was very interesting, I find. He just kind of just Atari under. And now Yang Dingxin activates some kind of stuff going on here. This move I thought was also very strange, because if it doesn't work, if black connects and it doesn't work, then this is not gaining any points, kind of just throwing away an RG. But I think Yang Dingxin saw something here that Shin Jinseo didn't. And this is the point where it happens, because a lot of the commentary was saying that when Shin Jinseo played here, maybe Shin Jinseo thought that Yang Dingxin could only connect and he blocks. Then, yeah, so that's a few points here. But Yang Dingxin can actually push through here. Black cannot block. This is crazy. This is the RG that Yang Dingxin saw, and Yang Dingxin's been preparing with all of these moves. Because what can happen now is white can just push through. White can even block. If black tries to capture, then this Atari means that you can capture this or capture these three. So this would be game over for Shin Jinseo. And this is potentially one of those things that Yang Dingxin has already seen, but maybe Shin Jinseo didn't see that. So he managed to push through here. So compare this to this. That's Shin Jinseo lost about 2-3 points just in this area, and that could just be the difference. And after this, Shin Jinseo played a tricky move here. So this is a trick move, because if white played here, then when black plays here, I think white has to somehow connect back. Then black can actually push through here and cause some trouble for white. But obviously Yang Dingxin didn't fall for this trick. He just connected and just play his Yosei normally. And you see that at some point Yang Dingxin starts playing some time sujis. And that's when he was basically counting. And he basically, at this point, he's already known that he's won. I think the time suji should come somewhere around. Oh, I think he's already played them. Maybe when he had Atari here, he was playing some time suji. So he was counting. He was counting the. He was already counting the points. And Yang Dingxin basically at this point has already known that he's won. And if you saw the live stream, you would have seen Shin Jinseo's very sad face when he realized that Yang Dingxin has won. I think Yang Dingxin is only leading by 1.5 points or 2 points, so not very much. So I think you can completely attribute those, a few points lead to how Yang Dingxin has played here. The fact that he could push through here, that a few points that he gained over here is you can even say that that's actually the difference. Of course, as I mentioned, one of the commentators says that this is the winning move, but I really don't know. But it was a very high quality game. If Shin Jinseo had made a mistake, it was a very, very minor one that only cost him 2-3 points. But apparently that was enough to see Yang Dingxin through, which was quite crazy. So after Yang Dingxin defeated Shin Jinseo, what that means is that Yang Dingxin and Ding Hao are through to the final. So it's going to be an all Chinese final in the LG Cup. What a reversal that's been, Gaza.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's good. Good for China. Good for Yang Dingxin. I mean, he played the game of his life.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, as you were saying, Shin Jinseo didn't actually play. He played well.
He played really well, yeah.
He played his typical, high level.
Mm.
But finally, someone actually able to match him.
Yeah.
And, obviously, huge effort by Yang Dingxin, and he got the win.
Mm.
And it's crazy to think everyone recalls Shin Jinseo as, like this Korean prodigy.
Yeah.
Who turned pro at the age of 12.
Yeah.
through a special qualification program for prodigies, and then a few months later he beat Lee Chang-ho
Yeah.
in exhibition, and since then he's only gone up and up.
Yeah.
But people may not know that Yang Dingxin was actually an even bigger prodigy
Right.
than Shin Jinseo. Yang Dingxin turned pro at the age of 9.
Crazy.
He was actually younger than Nakamura Sumire
Right.
was when she turned pro.
Yeah.
And he also has the record for the youngest player to win a game
Yeah.
in an in the Internet World Major,
Yeah.
which he did at the age of 13, a few months younger than Nakamura Sumire.
Right.
And I believe he also won a Chinese Open tournament
Right.
at the age of 12.
Mm.
So at the same age that Shin Jinseo was just turning pro, Yang Dingxin had won an Open tournament.
Yeah. It's
So
crazy.
so it's crazy to think that Yang Dingxin has been, he's been a pro for 14 years now, but he's only 24.
Yeah.
He's actually only a couple of years older than Shin Jinseo,
Yeah.
but it seems like he's been around for ages. It seems like he'd be 30 or in his late 20s, but he's only 24.
Yeah.
He has won the LG Cup before.
Yeah.
I think it was maybe a year after Kang Dongyun won it. Let me see.
Right. Yeah.
No, it was a few. He won it in 2019, so he actually won it the year before Shin Jinseo's first LG Cup, and he is the most recent Chinese winner of the LG Cup. So he won it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And that's, but yeah, despite all of his his potential and all of his talent, he has only got a single world major.
Right.
Which is perhaps maybe underperforming for him, but there is a lot of competition just to even make the world majors in China.
And I think you have to say Yang Dingxin is done remarkably well because he's made a couple more finals. I do believe he lost in the final of the Samsung Cup, maybe to Tang Weiqi. Of course,
he did. Yes.
Yeah, he also made a final of the LG Cup versus Shin Jinseo. In fact, he was
obviously this year he played in the final,
right,
against Shin Jinseo. So this was a bit of a revenge game,
yep,
a redemption game for Yang Dingxin. It is actually their first game against each other since that LG Cup final.
Right.
And we all recall game 1 of that LG Cup final. That was perhaps, if this game was a high quality one, then the LG Cup final game 1 it matched that in spectacle and more. I think that was one of the games of the year, that one. Highly recommend anyone to go over that game. But Yang Dingxin did get his revenge, and good on him. Like he deserved the win, no doubt. Shin Jinseo threw everything he had. He didn't make any serious mistakes, and Yang Dingxin overwhelmed him. And if he plays like that, in my opinion, Ding Hao has no chance.
Right.
But the question is, can he pull off that sort of performance again? Obviously, 2 weeks ago, he was not playing that sort of level because he lost to Choi Jeong, who obviously is a fantastic player, but not. The game that he played against Choi Jeong would not have won against Shin Jinseo. No chance.
No.
So, it's not until February.
The final, LG Cup.
Yep, and he doesn't have the Nongshim Cup to prepare for because he's not in the squad.
Yeah.
So hopefully he spends some time preparing for the LG Cup final, and so does Ding Hao. Yeah. Because I want to see some quality games.
Yeah.
In the final, it's always, a final should always be high quality. I would have to argue that the Samsung Cup final perhaps wasn't of the the highest quality games.
Right.
Because certainly not the type that we've seen in the past, but I do expect that this LG Cup final will be a good one.
Yeah.
And it will be, by the time it happens, it will be about 2 years since there's been a Chinese world champion.
Right. Yes. Yes. China hasn't really performed that well in the last couple of years.
Yes, but now they're guaranteed to have one
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah.
In fact, yeah. So actually, thinking about it, because the Chujo Cup
Yeah.
won't it starts this year, but it won't finish this year,
Yeah.
and so that means that in 2022, this calendar year, there won't be a Chinese champion. So
Yeah.
because there was the LG Cup,
Yeah.
last LG Cup final,
Mm.
obviously Shin Jinseo won that. The Samsung Cup, Shin
Mm.
Jinseo won that.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the Nongshim Cup,
Yeah.
which, well, I mean, technically Shin Jinseo also won that.
Yeah. Oh wow.
But, well,
Yeah.
I mean, specifically Korea won it.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no Chinese champions. And when was the last year in which there were no champions from China?
Oh, must be a long time ago. I really don't know.
I think you mentioned it was something like 17 years or something.
Something like that. I read it, but I haven't really confirmed it myself. Not that that has ever stopped me from ever saying anything on this podcast. But
I have to say, I don't know if there's been. I don't remember the last year in which
yeah.
a Chinese player didn't win either the LG Cup or the Samsung Cup. Just looking at those two tournaments,
Yeah.
I think it's been quite a few years since that. Obviously, last year, Shin Min-jun won the LG Cup and
Yeah.
Park Jun-won won the Samsung Cup, so they were both
Yeah.
Korean. But Yuting won the M Lily Cup last
Yeah.
year, so
Yeah.
they were still a Chinese world champion. But
Yeah.
I think it's been a long time since there wasn't a Chinese world champion in a calendar year.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, and that's just been yeah.
but it has been a bit of a dry streak, and the fact that there haven't been that many Chinese hosted world majors
Mm.
hasn't helped.
Yeah.
But
But
it's finally, I mean, it was inevitable that there would be
yeah.
a Chinese world champion because they've got so many strong players.
Yeah.
But speaking of China's recent fortunes, there was an article in a more mainstream newspaper or something.
Yeah. So this is from the Economist magazine. Of course, they call themselves a newspaper, and this was just published after the Samsung Cup had concluded, where there was no Chinese player in the semi-final. And let's read the headlines. Why Chinese players of gold aren't winning anymore? So we can bin that immediately because we have an all Chinese final in the LG Cup.
But it is okay. I have to. Did you read the article?
No. What's in it?
Yeah, neither did I. So we probably can't critique it.
Yeah.
But so I won't. But I do want to say,
Yeah.
based on their article, I think it's a 2-word answer as to why Chinese Go players aren't winning anymore, and it's Shin Jinseo.
Right.
It's basically just Shin Jinseo just happens to be better than everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, this year. He won the LG Cup. He won the Samsung Cup.
Yeah.
He won the Nongshim Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Go ratings or something like that,
Yeah.
like 16 of the top 20 players in the world are from China.
Yeah.
They're not struggling to find strong players.
No.
It's just that none of them are better than Shin Jinseo.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
It's
is it's quite crazy.
It's not. I don't think it's worth writing an article about.
Yeah.
But again, as I said, I didn't read the article, so
yeah.
I can't critique it too much.
Yeah. But I think the fact that it's an all Chinese final in LG Cup can probably put some of that
Yeah,
whatever
and
they write in that to rest.
yeah, it was good to see. Like, it was good to see Yang Dingxin so emotional after winning. Obviously,
Yeah.
it shows how much it means to players like him, not just to win the game, but to win it against Shin Jinseo.
Yeah.
But I think it was good seeing Shin Jinseo sort of disappointed in himself, because it shows just how high a standard he sets himself.
Yeah.
And also, how it also means that, he's not satisfied with, like, he's just won the Samsung Cup, right?
Yeah.
And I guess, like, when you win something, you sort of, the motivation to play, like, literally like a few days later, it may not be as great, because it can be exhausting, especially the Samsung Cup, where all of the games are played in a 2 week period. It can be quite exhausting to play so many
Right.
high intensity games.
Yeah.
And you may just want to give your mind, you may just want to have a bit of a rest, and you may psychologically just not be there again, like to go fight at that high level. But clearly for Shin Jinseo, that's not the case. I mean, he wanted to win this just as hard, and the fact that he was so disappointed in losing shows that he's not going to stop here at 4 world titles.
No.
He's going to obviously analyze this game, see where he went wrong,
Yeah.
see how he can avoid losing.
Yeah.
But in this case, and someone on the Discord mentioned this, like this case, it just seemed a case where you can be the best player in the world, and Shin Jinseo is, but sometimes you'll just lose.
Yeah.
Like you're just not gonna win every single game.
Yeah. 100%.
Nobody's done it, and sometimes even in against a player who may not be as strong as you, sometimes you just won't win.
Yeah.
And I think that was just one of these games, because I don't think Shin Jinseo played below his standard here.
No. I think there's a lot of respect coming from the Weibo, the Chinese social media space. They still have a lot of respect for Shin Jinseo, because they can see how incredibly hard Yang Dingxin have to try, and how incredibly Yang Dingxin have to play to even have a chance at beating him. So it's definitely not. And as you said, Shin Jinseo still holds himself to very high standards. I think he did mention that in one of the interviews, that his aim is to win 12 or more world titles. And I think he's recently updated that to he wants to win 15 or more world titles. So he wants to sit between Lee Chang-ho and Lee Sedol in terms of number of world titles.
I think, again, like, obviously he's an ambitious person. I think that, I would be gobsmacked if he got to 15.
Yeah.
I'd be gobsmacked if he got to 12.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's just so hard. I mean, I'm genuinely impressed every time he wins one, and to have 4 is still impressive.
Yeah.
Like, that only puts him one behind Park Jun-wan.
Yeah.
By the way,
Exactly.
who's been number 1 in Korea for so many years.
Yeah.
And if he got to like 8, if he matched Ke Jie, that would be quite something. But obviously he has high standards for himself, and he's just both of these guys, Yang Dingxin and Shin Jinseo, just incredible players.
Yeah. Now, okay. I'm sorry, guys, I had to cut you off. But just a quick note about this article. Now, one of the live viewers have mentioned that the article said that zero COVID policy prevented Chinese players from meeting and studying together for world majors, and that's kind of one of the reasons they kind of attribute to basically to China's one of the reasons they said it was responsible for China's recent poor performance in world majors, because of the zero COVID policy. But whatever it is, sorry, Gaza, what you were saying.
I wasn't saying anything. That's
okay.
Okay,
awesome. So that's Yang Dingxin's fist pump over here, and you can see how incredibly happy he is. And basically, in the post-game interview, Yang Dingxin said that he was very, very happy about beating Shin Jinseo, but he also shared a detail about his loss to Choi. He said that he was sad, and it was at home and sad for a few days afterward. But he knew that he had to prepare for this LG Cup, so he kind of picked himself up and applied a lot of effort, and that his effort maybe is paying off. So
good. That's professional. What a professional.
Yeah. So, and in the other Ding Hao, the other finalist, he said that he was so stressed out about these semifinals and quarterfinals. He's only slept 5 hours collectively over the 2 days of those 2 games.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, crazy. And
that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea, by the way.
Yeah, no.
I know that I'm not a professional Weiqi player.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident in saying
Yeah.
that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And I do hope that the more experience that he gets in world majors,
Yeah.
the less stressed
Yeah.
he'll get about them.
Yeah.
Mm.
But he did say that after he's made this the final, he said in a Weibo that he can now dream a good dream. So very good. Keep it going. So that's a wrap for LG Cup. I can't wait for this final in February next year, and I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll cover it back then. Now, guys,
We'll be covering it for sure. Absolutely.
100%. Now we from the good news of the LG Cup, we do unfortunately have to cover a little bit of sad news from coming out of Japan. Cho Sonjin, I do believe he's a former Kisei and a former Honimbo. In fact, he might have ended Cho Chikun's streak of, is it 9 Kisei or Honimbo wins or something like that.
Cho Sonjin did win the Honinbo. He
Right.
didn't win the Kisei. He challenged for the Kisei.
Right, so he's only won the count. So he ended Cho Chikun's 9 consecutive Honimbo title run or something.
I believe Cho Chi-hoon had 10 Honinbos
Right.
in a row.
Right.
And yes, that it was ended by Cho Sonjin.
Yeah. And I do believe, even though the title in here is wrong because he never won the Kisei, he actually did make a international major final, I believe, losing to Lee Chang-ho.
Let me just quickly try and find.
Yeah. While you're trying to find that, I mean, whatever it is, he's clearly a very, very, very talented player. But what's unfortunate was that apparently he was taken to the police station,
Yes.
and he was basically charged with domestic violence related. Okay, I guess I shouldn't say charged, but I think he was taken in for domestic violence related. I guess what you call it, activities. And apparently it was his wife who called the police. And Cho admitted to beating his wife, and Nihon Kin has released a statement of apology. And I do believe a couple of days later, he was released from the police station as his wife decided not to press charges. So
yeah, it's not a great situation. Really, not sure. Really can't say what's going on.
Yeah.
There. No segue, but I will say that he did make the final of the 4th Samsung Cup in 1999, which was the same year that he won the Honinbo.
Right.
So obviously that was a good year for him. He lost to Lee Chang-ho in the Samsung Cup final 3-0. They had best of 5s back then.
Yeah.
But he did win the Honinbo. He challenged for the Kisei in 2001. But yeah, obviously, it's not a good situation. What's transpired, we don't have any other information other than what has been made public, so we can't really give sort of commentary about what their family life is like or what's going on there. But I believe he's technically, like, he hasn't retired, right? He still plays.
Yeah. I think he's I believe he's about 50 years old and he still plays.
He's only about 52.
Right.
As some people may have hypothesized, his name being Cho Sonjin, he is actually a Korean-born player like Cho Chi-hoon, who did move to Japan in the early 80s to become a professional.
Right.
He did turn professional in 1984.
Right.
And he turned 9 dan in 1998. So he won the Aegon Kiriyama Cup in 2000 and 2001 as well. And he actually, as you know, the Aegon Kiriyama Cup plays against the Chinese champion in the China-Japan Aegon Cup. So he played in 2 of those, and he actually won both of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He beat Liu Jing
Yep.
the second time, and he beat Zhou Heyang the
Right.
first time.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Both of those were really strong players of Chang Hao's era. They were one of the seven
Yeah.
dragons, I do believe.
He's the only Japanese player to win that China Japan matchup twice.
Right. Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, he also won the Rookie King in 1991.
Yep.
Yeah, challenged for the Tengen as well in 2002. Didn't win that, but
Right.
yeah, yeah, not good, not good.
Not good. So okay, Gaza, staying in Japan, shall we look at the big game that happened in Japan today? Which was
Today,
yeah.
so we actually had two title games this week.
Right. So
We can one of them was a decider.
yeah.
Well, it wasn't a decider, but it ended up being the last game.
Yeah, being last game. And
And
that
one of
and
yeah.
that game is Yama Yuta versus Zhengqi.
Yeah, so this is the Urza,
Urza.
which I guess is the fourth biggest title. It's
Uh
considered to be the fourth biggest major in Japan,
yeah,
other than after the big three, the
yeah,
Kisei, Meijin, and Honinbo.
yeah,
In order, yeah, I think Urza is considered the next most prestigious. And this is game three,
yeah,
best of five.
yeah,
But Iyama had won the first two
yeah.
quite close games.
Mm,
So this was a must win for Yu Zhengqi.
yep.
And he was black. Yu Zhengqi was black.
Yeah.
And he started quite well.
Yeah.
He had a good start to the game. And then he was ahead by a few points apparently. He got a few corners. I think he got three corners.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
2.5 maybe.
Yeah.
But he was looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Apparently he was ahead by a bit. And then it just got really complicated.
Yeah.
So White's got this sort of a dragon on the right here.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was very crazy. I'm pretty sure Black had to kill this dragon.
Right.
And I think if you try running this with AI, well, I tried running this with AI and it got very confused. Like I
Right.
think it was saying, White was ahead by 10 points. And if you let it run, if I let it run for like half an hour and eventually it said Black was ahead by 10 points or something
Right.
without the position changing.
Yeah.
So something like that. And in the end, White's dragon on the right lived. And so White just had to Black didn't have enough real estate anymore.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he had to resign.
Yeah. Yeah. So this dragon was likely to live. I think it's not technically alive yet. Still fighting this coup, I guess. But yeah, it's probably gonna live.
Well, White has too many co-threats.
Yeah.
And so White's already got an eye, by the way, as you can see.
Yeah. So White's got an eye here. Now making this eye is a co-threat. I think connecting is also a co-threat.
Way too many local co-threats. And like the thing is, this dragon, like if this dragon lives, it's game over. Black just doesn't have any co-threats remotely substantial enough.
Yeah. So what this means is with this loss, Yu Zhengqi has gone down 3-0.
Yeah.
He still hasn't won a title. And
yeah, I mean, and the thing is, lots of Japanese players haven't won a title.
Yeah.
I mean, that in and of itself is not a big deal, but he has challenged for quite a few now.
Yeah, right.
And this is actually the second one that he's challenged this year. So he's played, he's challenged for 2 titles, and in those 2 title matches, he hasn't actually won a game.
Right.
He lost in the Judan title match 3-0 to fellow Taiwanese player Su Shaoan.
Yep.
And he lost now in the Urza 3-0 to Iyama Yuta. I don't know exactly how many titles he's challenged for, how many major domestic titles he's challenged for, but it may be 5.
Right, that's a lot.
It could be even more than that. I'm just checking now.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's definitely the strongest player, widely considered to be the strongest player coming out of Kansai Ki for now.
there is actually a tournament called the Kansai Kiin
Number one.
1,
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
And he is the title holder there.
Yeah.
That's actually the only title he's ever held.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so he okay, so I think he's challenged for the Urza once before and the Judan once before. This could be his fourth challenge in a domestic major. So I think he's challenged for the Urza twice and the Judan twice. He's also challenged for the Ryusei twice.
Right.
He's challenged for the Rookie King once. He may have also been runner-up in the NHK Cup.
Right.
Yeah, but he's lost all of those
Yeah.
title matches, by the way.
Yeah.
He's lost every single one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that he's won is the Kansai Kiin first place, which he's actually won that six times in a row.
Yeah.
But it is a strange tournament because it is a challenger title holder tournament. So once you win the title, you only have to play. You automatically play in the next title match, and the title match is actually just one game.
Right.
So since he holds it, he just needs to win one game, and he holds it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, in his 6 titles, his 6 Kansai Kiin first places. One of them he actually had to knock out a lot of other challengers and then win.
Yeah.
But then the other 5 times he's just need to win one game each time, and he's won it, and he's won the title again.
Yeah.
It's quite bizarre, but that's the system, and so hopefully he wins something else.
Yeah. I guess he is kind of considered the 5th strongest player after Iyama, Yuta, and the 3 Crows. But it's that he still hasn't won a title in Japan. So
yes,
that's Zhengqi for you. Now, staying in Japan, we also have another title match. That's a title final game that's happened, which is Game 3 of the Tengen. And
that's right. This happened on Monday.
Yeah.
And this was a Game 3 as well, as you said.
Yeah.
The Tengen.
Yeah.
But unlike the Urza, in which Iyama was in a position to win, the Tengen was 1 game apiece after 2 games.
Yeah.
So Game 3 was just going to see who would move ahead 2-1.
Yeah. So we have Seki Kotaro over here and Ida Atsushi over here.
Yes. So Seki Kotaro was black.
Yeah.
Ida Atsushi was white. And the one thing to note here is that Ida Atsushi did not play at Tengen on move 2.
Which is something that he did in Game 1.
Yes, he did that in Game 1.
And in Game 2 there was a Seki. So which is
in Game 2 there was a Seki. In fact, just out of curiosity, I just checked. No one played at Tengen in this game.
Right.
At any point, Tengen was left abandoned, but the game was definitely the least interesting of the 3 Tengen games so far.
Yeah.
It was a fairly it was a fairly non-memorable game. I honestly don't even. I actually remember Game 2 more than I remember this one, even though this one happened on Monday and I followed it live.
I just remember this kind of desperate attempt over here by Seki.
Oh yes, that's all I remember. This this little so Idatsushi is white.
Yeah.
And there was this ko at the end, but it just didn't work for black.
Yeah, it was just kind of a very desperate attempt for black to salvage something, but obviously it it was never gonna
Yeah,
work out.
I mean, yeah. I think Black was just looking for a place to reside at this point.
Yeah. So basically, Atsushi won this game, so he's gone 2-1 up. Now Seki Kotaro won the Tengen last year from Ichiriki with a 3-1 score. So
That's right.
um,
So he's not going to win 3-1 this time
no,
around,
no. So
but he can win 3-2. So,
yeah.
but he does need to win games 4 and 5.
Mm.
Game 4 is, I think, the what, December the 1st.
Right.
Yeah, the 1st of December.
Mm.
So not for a couple of weeks yet. So he's got some time to think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
not sure if he's playing any other games before then. He's certainly not playing in the Honinbo League or the Meijin
Yep.
League. But yeah, it's looking good for Atsushi. Looks like he might get his second ever
Title.
domestic title.
Yep.
The first one being the Judan as well.
Yep.
But yeah, we shall see.
We shall see. We shall see. I think if Seki loses this one, he's got a pretty good claim to be possibly one of the worst Tengens ever. Because he's
Well,
also,
that's one way of putting it. I would prefer the word one of the most unexpected Tengens.
right. And keeping in mind, he also hasn't made a major league yet, so yeah, strange.
Mm-hmm.
Now, leaving Japan. Well, I think technically in Japan, some of the news also happened because the Meijin League has been decided, but I'll try to mention that when the league actually starts.
Well, we can mention that at the end of this podcast.
Yeah. So let's maybe move on to Korea, where our star Choi Jeong has again won a title, this time being the women's Kuksu. She won it over Kim Hyeoimin.
Yes.
2-0.
So interestingly enough, this is Choi Jeong's fifth Kuksu,
right,
but it's not her fifth in a row. She won her first 4 Kuksu titles, women's Kuksu titles in a row.
Yep.
2017, 18, 19, and 20. But last year she actually lost it to Ouyujin.
Oh wow. Okay. Yep.
So she was trying to win it back. And interestingly enough, when she last won it in 2020, she actually beat Kim Hyeoimin 2-0.
Right.
And history repeats itself.
Yep.
She once again faces Kim Hyeoimin and she wins 2-0.
Yep.
And both of these games were just very one-sided.
Very one-sided, yeah.
They both finished, I think, within 150 moves.
Yep.
Yeah, very dominant play by Choi Jeong. Still, obviously, the same form that she had in the Samsung Cup.
Yep. So yeah.
Actually, sorry, the second game was 182 moves, but it was definitely over.
Yeah.
By move 100. The second game was probably more interesting. The first game was just there was a big dragon very, very early on that Kim Hyeoimin had, and it just gave her so many liabilities that Choi Jeong was able to take advantage of, and just not enough points for Kim Hyeoimin. And this second one, there was quite an interesting fight in the bottom right.
Right.
Kim Hyeoimin had a dragon which lived. It did live, but again, the moves that she had to make to keep it alive gave Choi Jeong too much space to work with outside the dragon.
Right.
And yeah, just better reading in general from Choi Jeong.
Yeah. You kind of expect her to kind of dominate the other women players. She might just lose, a few times a year, but that's roughly about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of winning against women players, she's had a weaker record than most years this year.
Yeah.
She's lost to, I mean, I remember last year, well, like it was always sort of a surprise whenever she lost to a women's player. Like you could you could sort of track each, like you could sort of recall each one.
Mm.
This time there's been so many. I mean, she's lost finals. She's lost before the final.
Yeah.
Like, she lost to Yuno Asami
Yeah.
in the Senko Cup. She lost to Oyu in the Wu Qingwan Cup. Sorry, she didn't lose to Yuno Asami. She lost to Hyeoimin in the
Yeah.
Senko Cup.
Yeah.
She lost to Oyu in the Wu Qingwan Cup. She lost to Yuno Asami in the Hoban Cup.
Yeah.
She lost to Jong in the IBK Cup.
Yeah.
Um, she's already in the Korea's strongest women's league. I think she
Yeah.
lost to Kim Chae-young,
Yeah.
or like she lost to someone.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she's lost a tournament, if she's lost a final this year to Oyu.
Yeah.
She may have. I don't know. I can't really recall.
Yeah.
But it's she's lost to quite a few.
Yeah.
She lost a few times in the a couple of times in the women's Baduk League.
Yep.
One to like Kim Soo Jin.
Right.
Like, do you even know who that is?
Okay. No idea.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That remember, but we did go over that game. That was the one where Choi Jeong made this incredible.
Oh, yeah,
mistake.
insane mistake.
Yeah, in Hyeoimin, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been quite a bit of a surprise to see how many times she's lost to women players, because she is, like, undoubtedly the number one women's player in the world.
Yeah. And she just made the final of the Samsung Cup. So
So yeah, there's been quite a big disparity in her consistency this year.
Yeah.
And people have been wondering, has she now peaked? Is she on the decline?
Yeah.
And it seems like the answer now is no. She just had a bad period.
Yeah.
She may have, just like Ding Hao seemed to have a bad period, but now he seems to be getting back to his best.
Yeah.
Looks like just Choi Jeong just, seemed to have just some bad form, which is, it is strange for her, because apparently, and I've heard this from several people, that she is not one of the hardest working pros, like literally the hardest working pro.
Choi Jeong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I've heard people say that she studies Go or plays Go more than any other professional. That's what I've heard.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But like I think I recall Ke Jie saying he's never seen anyone play more games on Fox or be on Fox more than Choi Jeong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe it's probably possible to overtrain. Maybe that was what she was doing.
Yeah.
I'm just speculating, but I mean, she's clearly back to her best now.
Yeah.
And obviously, very very easy win. Made it look simple.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you mentioned that Choi Jeong and Ding Hao both had a bad period, but I think for Choi Jeong it's actually worse, because Choi Jeong can have a bad period while having a bad period.
Mate, that's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
All right. So
that's your worst one. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
But that's also that's Choi Jeong's fifth women's Kuksu.
Yeah.
And it's actually her 23rd career title.
Yeah.
Which is
very, very impressive.
Very impressive, yeah.
And I think I can't remember recall if I mentioned this before, but apparently Choi Jeong was trying out a vegetarian diet, and I think she stopped doing that. So I don't know if that's got anything to do with it. But,
I'd never heard that.
Yeah, and some people were speculating that she maybe had like some health issues or whatever. Whatever it may be. Now, Gaza, before we round out this week's news, let's cover the second Qishi competition in China. That's a title challenger system. So the current Qishi is Ding Hao, and he's waiting for a challenger. And the list of possible challengers are, we have today Ke Jie versus Yang Kaiwen, Wang Xinghao, your favorite, versus Deng Yifei, and Tang Weixin versus Zhao Chenyu, and Yuting versus Gu Jihao today. I didn't look at too many of the key foods. So
before we look at the key foods, there was a story that I wanted you to share.
Right.
You've mentioned this in a previous podcast, but I honestly don't remember which one.
You're right.
And we've actually done quite a few podcasts now.
Yeah.
But one of their players that in this Darchisha
Yeah.
is Kaiwen, and he's doing
Right.
really well at the moment.
Yeah.
He hasn't been in any world majors recently. He
No.
has been in world majors in the past, but he hasn't been in any recently.
Yeah.
But he's doing really well in the domestic scene.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is that for some reason he actually contacted you personally.
Right.
One time last year. Now,
Yeah.
now can you share that story?
Mate. Now you know I'm a very mathematically inclined person. So at one point I was not very happy with some of the ratings that were pushed out.
Right.
Go ratings. So what I decided to do was, why don't I just have a crack at creating my own rating system? Okay, and this is my attempt to do this. Now my rating system is basically very simple. I just take 1 year worth of games, like literally 1 year, 365 days. So come next day, the oldest games like that was played 366 days ago would be thrown away. So because I literally just look at 365 days worth of games. So roughly 1 year of games for most years. And then I'll just basically, usually I get around 4,000 to 5,000 games. These are games with Kifu. And I would just basically run a computer algorithm over it to kind of estimate the ratings. So I've been kind of estimate the ratings. I shared it around on Chinese Weibo. And Kaiwen actually contacted me and says, "Oh, how does your rating actually work?" And I just kind of briefly explained to him, and that was the end of that. And that's the only time I've been contacted by a pro. And look what's happened to Kaiwen. I think when he contacted me, he was ranked around 25th on my rating, but due to his recent hot form, he's now as high as 5th, and Ke Jie has dropped down to like 9th just due to his poor showing in recent
Well,
time.
because you're looking, your rating system is looking at the last 365 days.
Right.
Ke Jie's last 365 days haven't been that flash.
No, and that's kind of reflected here. So this is more, if you think of Go rating as more like a long-term rating. So I've heard people complain that Go ratings, the ratings don't change as quickly, because I think on Go ratings, Ke Jie might have just dropped to 3rd, or maybe he's still 2nd, whatever it may be. But whereas this rating, okay, so Ke Jie is still technically 2nd, so maybe they haven't had today's game in yet.
No, they wouldn't have put today's game in yet.
Yeah.
No.
So, but there was some speculation that he might drop to 3rd. So Go rating do change more slowly versus the 365 days of data that I have here. So yeah, and this is not the first time that Ke Jie has dropped out of the top 3. I think at some point, according to this rating, Ke Jie was like down to 7 or something, and people were having some, discussions about that. But whatever it is, I don't actually look at this rating every day. I kind of just run the code because the code just runs every day, and it just tells me what the number based on the now 365 days of game. So whatever comes out. I mean, it's as objective as you can be. But Kaiwen is definitely in hot form. Of course, you have your Li Xuanhao also in hot form, but still no one can topple Shin Jinseo. So it's just crazy. So, and basically, now as you can see here, Kaiwen is ranked higher than Ke Jie, and so if you calculate the winning percentage using this, you would kind of favor Kaiwen a little bit.
Technically speaking.
Now whether people agree with that or if they think Ke Jie is still, the hot star, the superstar that he was, is up for debate. But what's happened today was that Ke Jie had played Kaiwen, and guess what?
It was a good game.
It was a good game, but Ke Jie ended up losing it. So this is...
I mean, that's it. Again, let's be a bit more specific here. Ke Jie lost by half a point.
Half a point, yes. And I think because the Chinese system is where the Chinese scoring is where you kind of you have to put all your stones, all the dame on the board. So he basically just lost by 1 dame, basically. Yeah, but I was watching this. I was watching this stream, and again looked at Jory Young's commentary. And I do believe that Ke Jie was leading by quite a bit at some point. And I just want to show you the moment where it kind of started to go wrong for Ke Jie. So after this point, Ke Jie is doing really well. Because Ke Jie is just Atari this and kind of get this thing in Sente, and then connect everything back. So so as you can see here, black scored basically at least 3.5 corners at least. So white really needs to make something in the middle to counter black, and also black just got a bunch of points here capturing these 2 stones. So it's looking really good for Ke Jie, and I think Ke Jie's winning percentage was like coming close to 90, if not above 90. So, and then people on Discord were saying, it's Ke Jie, it's Ke Jie's day. It might be Ke Jie's day to win this, even against one of the most informed players in China. But one Baduk, one Weiqi Oracle had different ideas. He's already seen the future. He's already predicted that Ke Jie may lose this one, and I think this is the moment where basically Joey Young was saying, "Oh, Ke Jie's played really well. Took more points, very solid. So just have to reduce the middle by a little bit, and that's it." He's like, yeah. He was like, Ke Jie wouldn't make this jump at all because this is too dangerous. Running in a weak group. Nah, he just wouldn't do it. Yeah, I would be too scared to do it. And he went on and on about, for a few minutes about how Ke Jie wouldn't play this move, and then Ke Jie played this move. and you can see why this may not be such a great idea for a human, because, I mean, you can kind of give up this group before this point, and just give it up, just let it die, and just reduce on the outside. You can still win. But if you run this group and if Yang Kaiwen lets you live, then you definitely have won. So you're forcing Yang Kaiwen's hand. Basically, you're forcing Yang Kaiwen to basically do something with this group, either kill it or profit a lot from it. And but anyway, I think when Ke Jie made the jump, it may even have been AI's first choice, but I think for top human pro, it feels dangerous. That's the vibe I got. But whatever has happened, so Yang Kaiwen started putting pressure on this group. I think Ke Jie played reasonably well. I think the group didn't die. It kind of just got some kind of connected back. But Yang Kaiwen got this build up this huge middle, and they kind of just keep fighting. It was a very intense Yosei battle, and basically. It was basically just down to Yosei, and as I mentioned, it was just only half a point in it.
I guess it was there's a ko at the end.
Yeah, I think there was a ko at the end, and I think Ke Jie, it was, I think at some point I think the AI decided that Ke Jie was gonna lose, but I think he kind of made some magic happen. That he almost had a chance, like half a chance to come back, but it didn't quite happen for him. But it was just a very intense Yosei battle, if I recall. And then I think there was this ko here, I think, and that was the one that Ke Jie basically had to win. And they was fighting this ko, and basically at this point the commentator was saying that Ke Jie doesn't have enough ko threats.
No, he didn't.
Yeah. And then Ke Jie, and when Yang Kaiwen played this as a ko, Ke Jie, I think at some point Ke Jie extended one of these stones, and it was a kind of last-ditch effort. Okay, and when White filled this liberty, Ke Jie decided to have one more crack at it, and apparently that was Ke Jie's last chance, but Yang Kaiwen found this move, which is to throw in and start another code. Yeah, just Ke Jie doesn't have enough.
No, there's just not enough, because Ke Jie has to win that ko as well.
Yeah. So Ke Jie ended up losing this by half a point. Yeah. So
that means he's out.
He's out of the Dachi show. He's not he's not doing that great. So
He's actually, according to Go Ratings, he's actually lost his last 4 games.
right. Yeah, I think he hasn't had a great record recently.
Like he lost to Kang Dongyun
Yep.
in the LG Cup.
Yep.
He lost to Park Chun-hwan in the Samsung Cup.
Yep.
And then his previous game, according to Go Ratings, was against Tongmin Cheng. Do you remember which tournament that was?
Tongmongchen, that must be some.
I'll see if I can quickly find it.
Yeah, no, I think I have it on the ratings list. It was
The Aegon Cup.
yeah, Aegon Kiriyama Cup. So yeah, one good thing is that if you click on this list, you can see a list of tournaments. They're in Japanese, so you may not be able to read it. But yeah, he lost to Tong Wong-chen in the Aegon Kiriyama. Yeah, but he did beat Yiling Tao and Liao Yuanhe in the Dachi Shi first and second round. Yeah, of course he lost in the Samsung Cup to Park Jun-hwan.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember the last time he lost 4 games in a row.
Yeah.
It was like it was probably before he started winning world it could have been before he started winning world titles.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's that's why Ke Jie is a bit of a joke now. But that's actually really unfair because it's kind of the expectation that we place on him, which is so great that anytime he falters, it kind of gets magnified. But hey, it is what it is. So let me just cover the other results in the Dachi Shi. So this is one of the major Chinese domestic Chinese tournaments. So we have our favorite Wang Xinghao reversing the game versus Deng Yifei.
Nice.
And then Tang Weixin also had a huge reversal versus Zhao Chenyu. Now, Zhou Ruiyang in his stream was basically saying, well, Tang Weixin if he's winning like 80%, 90%, then he could end up losing. But if Tang Weixin enters into the territory of having a win rate of 5% and 10%, and that's when he really shines. He can really reverse the game from that position. And so Tang Weixin has a little bit of that reputation, and he did that again today. Crazy. And Yuting versus Gu Zhao, I believe it was just a crazy fight, which tends to happen between Yuting and Gu Zhao. Like really, you wouldn't expect if they play each other, you wouldn't really expect the game to go to Yosei at all. It's all kind of like bring out the machetes and start slashing and see who comes out alive, kind of thing. But anyway, Yuting managed to come out on top. So the semi-finalists for the challenger tournament is Yuting, Tang Weixin, Wang Xinghao, and Yang Kaiwen. And I personally want to see either Yang Kaiwen or Wang Xinghao becoming the challenger, because that would be really
absolutely.
That would be awesome.
And when will the semi-finals happen?
I believe it's either tomorrow or the day after, and the challenger.
Sweet, no kidding.
Yeah, no, and I think the challenger match happens right after the final as well. So it's gonna be a week,
that's
a week
awesome.
of Dachi.
You mean the title match?
Yeah, title match, best of 3 with Ding Hao. Happens right after. They all.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's all happening. So Dachi is going to happen for the next week as well, and then the Nongshim Cup starts. Believe it or not, crazy stuff.
Yep. Great, awesome.
Yeah. So, Gaza, is there any other topic you wanted to cover before we look at the calendar?
Yeah. So a couple of things.
Yeah.
The Yi
League,
the Bing League,
yeah,
and the Women's Yi League has started.
Yes.
For 2022. Now I know that a couple of months ago we had the Yi League and the Women's Yi League.
Yeah.
That was the 2021 version.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're in November 2022, so you may be thinking, well, a couple of months ago is still 2022. But just like the 2020 Olympics were in 2021,
yeah,
the 2021 Yi League and Women's Yi League were in 2022.
Right, yeah.
But now we've caught back up. This is the 2022 seasons that's happening.
Yeah.
And the Bing League, which was cancelled for the 2021 season, is back.
Yep, it's back.
There are a few Koreans
Yeah.
in the Yi League. It's mostly the same Koreans that were in the previous season's Yi League. One exception is that Kang Seung-min doesn't seem to be playing in this season. And if you recall, we did briefly mention this. Kang Seung-min playing in the 2021 Yi League caused him to forfeit a lot of games in a different league in Korea.
Right.
That dropped him all the way down to 60
Yeah.
in the ratings.
Yeah.
So maybe he was afraid that would happen again.
Yeah.
And so he didn't play in this season's Yi League, but probably not. There was probably some other reason.
Yeah.
But you've got players like Seol Hyun-jun, Lee Chang-seok, Sim Jae-ik playing. There's a few others that Park Sang-jin is also playing. I think Han Woo-jin is also playing.
Right. Yeah, Han Woo-jin is playing.
Yes. And there's also a Team Japan that's in the Yi League and a Team Taiwan.
Yeah, in the Yi League and a Team Taiwan also in the...
And there's a Team Taiwan in the Bing League.
Yes.
Now, okay, we didn't actually mention this, but the Yi League...
Yeah.
So we should actually mention what this is. This is like the second division...
Correct. Yeah.
...of
Chinese Weiqi
China.
league system, yeah.
Yes, so China has the Jia League, so that's where Shin Jinseo, Ke Jie, Yang Dingxin, Park Junwan, all the top players play in.
Yeah.
This is the second division, the Yi League, and then the Bing League is the third division.
Correct. Yeah.
So there is promotion and relegation.
Yeah.
So if a team does poorly and is relegated from the Yi League, they go to the Bing League.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So teams like Team Taiwan, Team Japan, they're trying to get theoretically promoted to the Jia League.
Yeah.
And then, at the same time, there's the Women's Yi League.
Yeah.
So that is just the women's version of the second division.
Correct.
In the Chinese league system. And there's a few Korean players there. I'm not sure of all of them. Jong Yoo-jin and Kwon Hyo-jin, the women's Kwon Hyo-jin.
Yep.
They're both playing.
Yep.
In the Women's Yi League.
Yep.
Choi Jeong is not playing in the Women's Yi League. She's been there for many seasons, but she's not in it this time.
Yep.
And there's a few Taiwanese players. I think Yu Lee-jun is definitely playing.
Because they have a Team Taiwan, I think also...
Do they have a Team Taiwan? I thought
they do.
Oh, they do have a Team Taiwan. That's right.
But I think... Lu Yuhua, he doesn't play for Team Taiwan. He plays for Team Dalian because he's one of the. I guess she's considered an import for these purposes. She plays for Team Dalian, I do believe. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think a little bit of good news for Japan is that Hiroshi Yuichi, one of the Japanese players, have won 3 out of 3 in the first 3 rounds of the Yi League for Team Japan. So
nice,
very nice.
Hopefully, when it all finishes, we can post some results.
Yeah. To be honest, some of these results are even in the Chinese media are a little bit sketchy. So it's kind of hard to find.
That's the problem. Yeah, we basically Xiao Dai basically has to scour Chinese news sites to get comprehensive results for these leagues. But I think sometimes I'm guessing that sometimes the results just aren't that easy to find.
Yeah, or they just don't have the complete results.
They don't even sometimes they don't even post complete results. So it can sometimes be a little bit annoying. Yeah. Just to even get that information.
Correct. I think for Team Japan and for Team Taiwan, the results are relatively easy. You just have to go to the website, so you can see the Team Japan's results are very clearly listed. So in round 4, unfortunately, they have lost all 4 games, but before that they were doing okay. They had 3 wins, 1 loss, 1 win, 3 loss, 2 wins, 2 losses. But this is their first 0-4 loss so far for Team Japan. So not good. But it's only 8 rounds, so they still have 4 more rounds to go. So let's see. I guess it's a bit far-fetched to think that Team Japan can gain promotion to the Jia League, but if that happens, that would be some story. But Probably not.
It would be something, but they haven't put out their best team, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think their best
They've got strong players, but I don't think any of them are currently in any of the leagues.
Yeah, right. That's
So-
yeah. Due to how rigid the Japanese
Scheduling system is.
works, it's hard to see. Even the game promotion, it would be funny if they game promotion and then the schedule gets too intense. They end up sending four young guys. And it's just not worth it. They just get completely crushed in the Jar League. So yeah.
Yes, but yeah, I mean that's happening. It's good to see that the 2022 leagues are happening in 2022.
Yep.
And finally, so a couple more things in Japan.
Right.
We mentioned that Fujisawa Arena. We mentioned briefly in the past that Fujisawa Arena was in the Kisei C League.
Yeah.
And she was in the Kisei C League. You play up to 5 games, and you have to win 3 of them to keep your spot.
Yeah.
And after 4 games, she was 2 wins and 2 losses.
Right.
And she started to play. So she started to play game 5.
Yeah.
And she had to win it.
Yeah.
To stay in the C League.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she would have to re-qualify for it.
Yeah.
And she has played game 5.
Yeah.
And let me just quickly see. She won game 5.
Yeah.
So that means that she won 3 games in the Kisei C League, and that means
in
the next Kisei League, she will be in League C. She does not need to re-qualify for it.
And then we got Fukuoka Kotaro. He also managed to stay in the C League. Also Sada Atsushi.
Yep, Sada Atsushi. Where is Ida Atsushi?
Might be in the A League or B League, maybe.
Did he get promoted to the B League? Oh, he did get promoted to the B League.
Right, yeah.
So and he finished.
8th.
I think he
finished second in the B League.
He finished second.
In B2.
That means he'll be promoted.
No. He finished.
No, he
second.
won't.
He finished second in B2, so only the first placer in the B1 or B2 gets to move up.
Right. Okay, so he doesn't get promoted. Okay.
Promoted, unfortunately.
Pretty tough. It's a pretty tough system, but all right. Yeah, and obviously we don't know. We only know the C Leaguers that we do know are the ones that got 3 wins, and the ones that are getting demoted from B League. We don't know who is who is qualified.
Yeah.
For
next year, basically.
The next Kisei. They haven't actually even started.
No,
the qualifiers yet.
Yeah.
So, and Fujisawa. So Fujisawa's game was actually the very last game of the Kisei League, apart from the Challenger playoffs.
Right.
And speaking of the Challenger playoffs, we did have. So we already had the Challenger playoffs. We started with the C League champion.
Yep.
Atake Yu playing Suzuki Shinji, the B League champion, and Atake Yu won that.
Yep.
So then the next game was he would have to play the A League champion, Yamashita Keigo.
Yep.
And Yamashita ended up winning that one.
Yep.
The next so this is a step ladder sort of system. Yep. So the next game was Yamashita having to play second place in the S League. That was Shinji Takao.
Yep.
And Yamashita won that game too.
Yep.
And so then the final step of the Challenger system was a 2-game match between Yamashita, Keigo, and first place in S League, Shibano Toramaru.
Yeah.
And Yamashita Keigo had to win both games. If Shibano wins either of them, he becomes the challenger.
Yes.
And game 1 happened today.
Yep.
And Yamashita Keigo won that game.
Correct. Yamashita Keigo won against Shibano. Apparently, it was not very close by the end. It was about more than 10
No,
points.
It wasn't that close. Shibano made a few mistakes. I think the direction of play was a bit askew in places, and he didn't. So Yamashita Keigo prevailed.
Yeah.
But that means that there will be a game 2, and it will be sudden death.
Yeah.
And it will be on Monday, 21st. And whoever wins that will be the challenger, and they will play Ichiriki Ryo in the
Rio.
title match.
Yeah.
Yes.
It'll be, and the title match will happen over, looks like January till March next year. So of course it only gets to March if there's game 5, 6, 7. But
Yes.
so and I'm sure all of that will be streamed. Now, okay, Gaza, since we're on the Japanese news, we might as well just mention the league makeup of the Meijin for next year.
Yes, that's the one. That's the other thing I wanted to quickly mention. The Meijin League is the format for the Meijin, and there are 8 spots in the league, and the 4 of the spots, second. Well, actually, oh no, sorry. Pardon me. There's actually 9 positions in the Meijin League, and if you finish second to 5th in the league, you keep your spot.
Is it?
And those
second to, is it
6th? Sorry,
yeah. Only 3.
Second to
only
6th.
3 will get relegated. Which
yes. So so the ones that kept their spot are Ichiriki, Ryo, Yamashita Keigo, Tatsuya Shida, Shida Tatsuya, sorry, Zhengqi, and Sushawan. And also whoever loses the title match also is in the league. And that was Iyama Yuta, so he'll be in the Meijin League next year. And then the other 3 spots are determined by qualifiers.
Correct.
Now everyone is able to qualify, but some people appear, they start their games later in the qualifying system than others. But regardless, if you're not already in the league, you have to win at least 3 games to qualify. So if you just fell out of the league, you need to win 3 more games just to get back into it. And the final 3 qualifying matches were the two Atsushis were playing each other. Sada Atsushi versus Ida Atsushi. Now they're not related. They're not even actually in the same system. Ida Atsushi is in Nihon Kiin and Sada Atsushi is in Kansai Kiin. But Sada Atsushi won.
So Sada Atsushi gains one of the spots.
And I believe this will be his first Meijin League. Okay. Next was Koike Yoshihiro against Cho Yu. Of course, Cho Yu is a former Meijin. In fact, he actually won the Meijin, I think, 3 or 4 years ago.
In 2019, he had an unexpected victory over Iyama Yuta.
Over Iyama, yes. So he actually won. So he beat Koike Yoshihiro.
So that his opponent is honestly someone I've never heard of. But
I'm pretty sure he's a very young player, but I believe he's made a league because he is a 7-dan.
Right.
So I think he made the Honinbo League. I'm not sure, but I don't think he'd made the Meijin before.
He was it looks like came second in the Rookie King in 2019, and I think he might have come second in the Carp Cup. I don't think he's listed as having made a league, as far as I can see from his page.
Oh, really? Wait, I'll see if I can.
That's this guy, right? Koichi Yoshihiro. But it's all down here. It's all in Japanese, but it's in kanji. So
no, you're right. He hasn't.
But okay, but it's a bit of maybe not so famous. Cho Yu, of course, is more famous. The last Japanese player to have won an international type major.
Yes. Yeah, he's very famous. He has one of the very few players that has won each of the domestic majors. At some point. I think only Iyama and Cho Chi-hoon have done that as well.
Right. I
I'd
think
be wrong.
yeah.
Did I say?
Cho Yu also once held the record for the most simultaneous titles held. He held 5 titles at one point, which was then broken by Iyama at 6 and 7. But yeah,
Yes. And then the final Meijin qualifying playoff was against Fujita Akihito
yep.
and your favorite player,
Conor
Conor
Rin,
Rin.
yes. And
Um,
did my favorite player make it?
Now, Conor Rin has been in the Meijin League before.
Yes.
Fujita Akihito has not,
Hmm.
but I believe he's been in the Honinbo.
Yeah, I think he's in the 66 Honimbo, so 2010. So it's actually 12 years ago. Yeah.
Let me just quickly check. No, I don't think he was.
I don't know what this means in kanji, but it says
No, he only reached the final qualifying.
right. So
He
maybe
lost
this.
to Yamashiro Hiroshi.
Yeah. So maybe this just means he made the final.
Interesting that they would put that in his biography, considering
Oh, that's as good as it got for him. I guess.
he's won 2 tournaments.
Right. I think making one of those big three leagues is quite huge.
Yeah, so he hadn't. So this he's looking for his first ever major league appearance.
Yeah.
Conor Rin is obviously looking to get back to the league.
Yeah.
And it was a really close game, but Conor Rin ended up losing by half a point.
Okay. Yeah.
So congrats to Fujita Akihito. He'll play in his first major league.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Koike Yoshihiro will also play in his first major league. Sada Atsushi is no stranger to major leagues, but this will be his first Meijin League, I believe.
Yep. Crazy.
So
Yep. So that's
sorry, my pardon. Koike Yoshihiro lost. He was looking to be in his first Meijin League, but Cho Yu.
yes, of course, yes.
So
you made it.
So Fujita Akihito, his first major league.
Yeah.
Sada Atsushi, his first Meijin League, and Cho Yu, the veteran. He's been in everything.
Yeah. And not only has Cho Yu been in everything, Cho Yu's wife also is in the women's Meijin League, I believe.
That is correct. Yeah, she's in the women's Meijin League. Very.
And
very
Cho Yu
impressive.
basically said in a post-game interview that, well, given my wife is in the Meijin League, I might as well, pull my weight in this marriage. So he's also done his bit to make it Major League.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. So his wife is Izumi Kobayashi.
Yes.
Kobayashi Izumi, and Kobayashi Izumi has actually won the women's Meijin. She's a 3-time women's Meijin champion.
Yep.
Yes, she herself is a very strong player.
Yep.
Yeah, won several titles and done quite well for herself. And they also have a daughter that is a pro.
Yeah, I can't recall. I thought they had two daughters and
they might have a second one. Yeah.
both were pros or at least one of them's made pro. I can't recall exactly, but yeah, what I
very interesting. Yes.
Yeah. So Gaza, apart from those Japanese news, have you got anything else?
No, that's it. If I did have anything else to discuss, I've forgotten it. Yeah. So it doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't matter if you forget, I guess. So let's look at the calendar for next week. I guess the biggest one to look forward to, for the first 4 days of the week, I would say is the second Qishi, which is all happening.
Oh, I need to remove that. So on the Saturday there is no women's Kuksu game 3.
Saturday
because game 2 was decisive.
Yeah.
So let me just delete that.
I've deleted that and.
Sweet.
And also, of course,
the big news is the Dashisha. Yeah. That's the big thing next week.
The first 4 days, Gaza. First 4 days.
For the first 4 days.
Yeah, of the week, and then of course the Yi League will be concurrently happening. A few women's games, but on the Friday.
What's on the Friday?
What's on the Friday, Gaza?
It's the Nongshim Cup.
It's the Nongshim Cup where Shin Jinseo might lose a game again.
No, I don't think so because I don't think Shin Jinseo is gonna. The next Nongshim Cup is going to be five days,
Yeah, yeah,
and Shin Jinseo is going to be the last player for Korea,
yeah.
and Korea still have 4 players left. Kang Dongyun will be playing Shibano Toramaru on
Right,
Friday.
right, right. So
So even if Shin Jinseo is not going to be playing in
yeah,
the second stage of the Nongshim Cup,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but Iyama Yuta might have to play.
Right, yeah.
It depends. If Shibano loses
Hmm.
and Zhengqi loses his first game, then
Yeah,
Iyama will have to appear on the
yeah,
following Tuesday.
yeah. Yeah, so that's but anyway, Nongshim Cup is obviously something to look forward to, and I guess my only question is, have you stocked up on Nongshim noodles yet?
No, I haven't. I've actually run out.
Oh yeah, well, okay, you know what to do.
Don't worry. I've got that sorted. I'll go to the supermarket.
Yeah, yeah. I guess the only thing I can do is kind of support them. They do taste nice. Not an advertisement. Definitely not paid for anyway. Okay, so that's that's it for next week. So
Oh
we've
yeah,
got
one other thing. I don't think this is going to mean much here, but if there are any Australian
yeah.
viewers of this podcast,
Oh yeah,
and especially if you're in the Sydney area,
yeah,
the Australian National Championships are going to be happening on,
yeah,
I believe, the 5th and 6th of December.
yeah,
Um, we do want to have players turn
yeah,
up. We do want to have a good turnout. It would be great to have a great turnout.
yeah.
So if you are interested, you know what? I haven't got the website up here, so maybe we can post it next week.
Yeah, yeah,
There'll still be time to register next week. So
yeah. So yeah, the Australian Nationals is up. Now the the our biggest audience is from the US, as you can imagine. So I imagine if any US players were to visit Australia at that time, you'll be throwing a shrimp on the barbie for them, wouldn't ya?
what are you talking about?
Okay, man, whatever, man. All right, so yeah, the national is on. Yeah,
Oh,
so
it's December. It's December 3rd and 4th. My bad. December 3rd
yeah,
and 4th. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, it's the weekend. December 3rd and 4th.
yeah,
Um, I'll just
yeah,
I'll just quickly send you the link now. You've got it up there.
yeah. So
Yeah.
if you go to the Australian National Go Association website, I'm sure you'll be able to find the under the events page this tournament, which is probably one of the biggest tournaments in Australia every year. So looking forward to it. Gaza.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's another awesome episode, and I think this is the first episode where we have gone live, and we do have a very interested viewer in the comments. Thank you very much for staying with us. And this episode we posted on YouTube as per usual as well, so you can watch this whenever you like.
Yes. Thanks to all the live viewers and all of the viewers that were not live.
Yeah.
Anyone who watches this, thank you very much. It's really good to know that people watch this and are interested
Yeah.
in our coverage of the professional scene. We do this podcast because we're interested in the professional scene.
Yeah.
It's hard to find the details in English, but we do try
Yeah.
and collate everything that we can, and
Yeah.
present it and inform people.
100%. With that said, it's time to say goodbye for another episode. So, goodbye. Thank you
All
very
right.
much. Thanks, Gaza.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Yeah.